to be talking about cell phones and text messaging and stuff. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Good to go, babe?
Yeah.
Perfect. Welcome to Modern America. Today I'm going to be talking about cell phones, texting, and how they affect us socially. Now, in this modern era that we live in today, we've replaced handwritten letters and long waiting periods with just a few types into your phone, a couple quirky beeps, and instant gratification when it comes to communication. My name is Josh Bowen. I'm an emergency management specialist for the United States Air Force, and I owe part of my marriage to text messaging. In fact, my wife, Lauren, we were in a long-distance relationship for about a year or so while I was stationed here at FE Warren, and through text messaging, we were able to maintain communication very effectively when we weren't necessarily able to call, and that was really helpful to be able to have continued communication even though we were half a country away. According to a study done by Open University in 2014, over 350 billion texts are sent monthly. Again, that's billion with a B, 350 billion are sent monthly. That is a ton. Text messaging is a powerful new tool that empowers our generation with unmatched communicative ability. In this quick speech, I'm going to be talking about how smartphones, we use them today and how they've evolved. I'm going to be talking about our society's new reliance on text messaging, as well as the way that text messaging may be damaging our ability to communicate face-to-face. Now, on July 20th, 1969, in America, we put a man on the moon using a computer that had 64 kilobytes of memory. Now, according to the Apple 2015 catalog, the iPhone 6 has 64 gigabytes of memory. For those of you who don't know, that is 10 million times more powerful than the computer that put a man on the moon, and that's in my pocket right now, or rather in her hand right now, and I'm sure many of you have that, or if not better. 10 million times more powerful. Cell phones have come a long way, obviously, in our society, and they're continuing to evolve. Right, here's a quick graph I want to pass out and show you, showing from 1990 until 2015, kind of the evolution of what cell phones have had. We have the big brick with the stick going down there and start getting smaller and smaller. We got the Droid Motorola Razr, the greatest phone of all time. We reach the smartphone era and start getting bigger and bigger. You're going to pass this around, sir? You can see that they've clearly come a long way in our society. Now, in 1990, there were just over 5 million cell phone subscribers in the entire world, but today there are just under 5 billion cell phone subscriptions in the entire world. 5 billion, that is so many, and with so many cell phones around, it makes sense that we really start to become attached to our cell phones. In an article titled Texting Statistics, published by Connect Mobile in 2013, 91% of all US mobile users keep their cell phones within arm's reach at all times. I know I'm guilty of that. I got mine right there. I'm sure many of you have yours in your purse or in your pocket right now. And I think we can all attest this. It's devastating in today's society to be without your cell phone. I know I've been driving to work, realized I didn't have my cell phone, turned around, risked being late so I would have my cell phone, just because it's so devastating to be without it nowadays. While we keep our phones close, and while there's so many, it's odd that we're starting to use it less and less for its primary function, which obviously is speaking. In our society, we've started to develop a reliance on text messaging over phone calls. Worldwide, 43% of all smartphone users use their phone call function, whereas 70% use the text. Again, that's 43 versus 70% use text messaging. And 55% of all heavy texters prefer a text over phone call. That includes a very serious matter. They'd rather receive it as a text message than as a phone call. With all these text messages being sent around, it starts to make sense that texting has been proven to be addicting. Stephen Perry and Kevin Lee say just as much in an article they published in Communicatio that texting is addicting. And according to Aaron Smith at the Pew Research Center, texting is the most widely and frequently used app on the smartphone. 97% of all Americans use it daily. I know I've been with my wife and she's the one I text the most, and I've already texted her at least once today. Now, statistically, most of us have this tool in our pocket or purse right now that is prone to being, I guess, used and abused. But luckily, there's no way something like that could possibly have any negative results. No, wait, sorry. Just kidding. Our text messaging culture is undermining our ability to communicate face-to-face. Text messaging is actually starting to damage us socially when it's being overused. In 2012, web blogger and behavioral health and addiction specialist Zon Valenis states, texting is, almost by definition, surface-level communication. When people communicate by text, they're much less likely to have a meaningful conversation. I know I've experienced that. She goes on to say, in fact, the instant gratification of text messaging can lead to incredible impatience and even aggression. I don't know if you have that iPhone and you see someone's texting, you see the 3 dots, says they're texting right now. For me, when that I see those and I'm waiting, but then the text message doesn't come, I know I'm feeling aggression, I'm feeling impatient. I certainly have felt those when it comes to text messaging. With that, text messaging potentially damaging, but it's also starting to redefine our cultural norms and our social norms. Zahn goes on to say that people who are heavy texters may be more uncomfortable with in-person communication and may use cell phones to communicate with people who are in their presence. I don't know if you've ever been at the family gathering, you've seen the couch right over there of teenagers just on their phone, playing games, texting. I know, I've been that teenager, I've been on that couch. I've texted people right next to me before. It's just a thing that happens in this modern society. But the result of a heavy texting lifestyle is a decrease in privacy and social boundaries. Now, I'm in no place to condemn because I love texting and I am crediting part of my marriage to having the ability to text and communicate over that distance. But I think that texting is a miracle. If you really think about it, you type in your phone just a little bit, it gets translated into data, goes up into space, bounces off a satellite, comes down to the other side of the world, and someone can laugh at a dumb joke you just made. Texting is a miracle. Texting is a powerful tool that empowers our generation with unmatched communicative ability. Just a quick recap of what I've talked about so far. Cell phones have come a very, very long way in our society since their first iteration. We as a culture are starting to rely heavier and heavier on the text messaging ability, and that reliance can possibly be damaging socially if it's overused. Now, while texting is powerful, and I, again, owe my marriage to it, I think it's important that we just keep in mind as we go from here that texting is great and powerful, but at the same time, I think that we can all agree that 3 hours of texting does not nearly match up to a 10-minute conversation or something like that on an anniversary or on a birthday or something, a nice phone call. I think it's important to think about not just typing LOL, but actually calling them and laughing out loud. Again, my name is Josh Bowen. Thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for your consideration.